talk about music biopics, and there's been some great ones over the years, and who better to talk about it than Andy McCarroll from Spin 1038. And you're very welcome to Box Office. Now, talk us through music biopics that you liked, or notable mentions. For me, it's been like The Doors, Ray, What's Love Got to Do with It, but there's a few others you want to touch on today.
Yeah, I think the musical biopic, it's kind of difficult to walk the line, if you'll pardon the pun, between what the actual events have occurred and to kind of dramatise or to, sanctify the people that are involved in it. And I think Walk the Line does that very well. It doesn't shy away from the kind of the dark side and the badness of Johnny Cash, as well as celebrating the good side. It really presents him as a complete human being. Like, there's that saying, you like people for their good parts, but you love them for their flaws. And I really think seeing that broken side of him and what he came through and the person he became as a result of it really highlights just why people are fans of Johnny Cash. As you can see, dressed nearly head to toe in black.
Nearly head to toe in black as well. But I loved Joaquin Phoenix's performance. I think obviously it just stood out for me. I'm sad he never won the Oscar for it, but I think truthfully his interpretation of Johnny Cash was impeccable. No? Did you like it?
I 100% agree, and I like that he didn't try to do an impression of Johnny Cash. Like, it could have been very easy to just dub him because Johnny Cash has such a distinctive voice. But he took the time to learn guitar, to learn how to sing. Like, at no point is he doing an impression of Johnny Cash. It's Joaquin Phoenix's interpretation of Johnny Cash as if he was a fictional character. And I think that makes the film all the more believable and all the better for it as well.
There's a couple of others you want to touch on today, so let us know about those. Straight Outta Compton is one which I would like to talk about. What else would you like to talk about?
Straight Outta Compton, absolutely one of those. And I think for me the real kind of standout for that is the portrayal of Suge Knight in that, who he showed up on the set of the film and ran over two people and killed somebody and is now in jail for that. He is absolutely terrifying. Like, he's more frightening to me than Hannibal Lecter or Michael Myers. He's just this real life, personification of evil and manipulation, and he's just this terrifying presence throughout the film. As well, I think having the people involved in it that were, you had Dr. Dre, you had Ice Cube involved. Actually, Ice Cube's son plays him in the film.
I loved this film.
He was absolutely fantastic. And you think when he, you hear Ice Cube's son is playing himself, there's going to be a bit of nepotism in it, he's not going to be good. But I think he really went above and beyond to show, like, I got this part on mirror, I'm not just getting this because of what my last name is.
Yeah, absolutely. What's Love Got to Do with It is a fantastic film, obviously based on the life of Tina Turner and Ike Turner. Talk us through this one.
Again, that's one of those that doesn't shy away from the kind of the dark side of what happened with Tina Turner, specifically with Ike as well. And I think it's just, as well, in kind of, the times that we're in now as well, I think it's a really fantastic story to be told that this woman who was in such an abusive relationship, like so many women were at that time, and she didn't just, let that define her. She broke free of that and she became a musical icon, a feminist icon. And her story is something that I think is probably more relevant now than it's ever been. And I think they really, really showed that side of Tina Turner, as well as like great performance. You had Angela Bassett, Lawrence Fishburne. And then, everyone has 5 or 6 Tina Turner songs. It's not that you kind of see them all in a row, you realise how many great songs she had as well.
And one to wrap up for me, if you don't mind, The Doors, Val Kilmer, and we cast our mind back to that. Again, very mixed reviews about the performance by Val Kilmer, but I think ultimately it got the essence of the band.
It does, and it's kind of helped that Val Kilmer has that kind of Jim Morrison pretension, kind of love to hate him sort of thing about him. But I thought he was absolutely spot on. And when you see Val Kilmer playing a role like that, you kind of realise just how, when he wants to be, how good of an actor he is.
Exactly, I agree.
And as well with Jim Morrison, like, you see some terrible Jim Morrison performances, and then all of a sudden you could see him on stage and he's like one of the most gifted musicians and performers you've ever seen. So I think it was, it very much parodied who was playing him as well.
Absolutely, but sometimes music biopics don't always hit the high notes that people think they're going to do. Like The Doors kind of underperformed. It was underwhelming to critics, but it kind of performed okay, in terms of cinema goers. But then you have Walk the Line, which scoops Oscars. So is there a fine line, pardon the pun there, that we can kind of look at these music biopics and think, do they work or do they not work?
Absolutely, and I think having people who are, directly involved, and I think that can be a hindrance to the film. I think you need a kind of a time away from the person's life, Walk the Line being the obvious exception, that you can tell the truth, but without, bashing the person's life over and over again. Like the Whitney documentary this year, I thought really kind of played that brilliantly, where it celebrated her, professional, her music, but also didn't shy away from, this was a woman who had some real darkness and some real, trauma to her. But it didn't, play one at the extent of the other, sorry, at the request of the other one. So it really kind of hit that balance. And I think there's a lot of people, like things like Elvis. I don't think we've had that great Elvis biopic, because I think he's been involved and the family have been involved in a lot of what's gone on. I think that's the next big one I could see being one that's out there ready to be made.
And of course we have Bohemian Rhapsody as well, so that's going to be the big one for this year.
Yeah, Rami Malek looks absolutely fantastic in that, and I like as well that what Joaquin Phoenix done. He doesn't seem to be doing an impression, he's doing his version of Freddie Mercury. And again, that's, you know, the Queen, how many, 10, 15 Queen songs off the top of my head, I could say would
we
be.
are the champions.
Absolutely. And I think with that, we've got Rocket Man as well coming up. So I think we're going to see a real resurgence of the musical biopic now in the next year, and hopefully it's here to stay.